Hi, everybody, and welcome back for another exciting week of Español. This week we'll be exploring Capítulo 11, titled Es Arte la Moda? Is Art and Style? In this chapter, you're going to learn how to discuss clothing preferences, to identify vocabulary words that pertain to art, to create sentences using regular and irregular comparisons and superlatives, to describe the state of objects and people using the verb estar along with the present participle. And you're also going to learn how to talk about unplanned occurrences using se. So as we get started here, I want you to take a look at this picture of a retail store. It tells you that esta semana hay buenas rebajas en los centros comerciales y muchos clientes van de compras. So we're saying that this week there are a ton of sales, a lot of things that are marked down at the mall, and that a lot of people are going shopping. So, and you see that here. You can see a store full of people, and you have some different words. If you start by looking here at the t-shirts hanging on the wall, we have size pequeña, which would be a small. We have grande, large, mediana, medium, and then extra grande, extra large. Here you can see this gentleman in the green shirt. He is standing in line and he is holding a shirt that is a rayas. That is a striped shirt, a rayas. Whereas the woman behind him, she's holding a shirt that's lisa or liso. That's a solid. So a rayas, striped, and liso or lisa, solid. Also, comparing these two, you can see that the guy in the green shirt here is paying with a tarjeta de crédito, a credit card. Some people might also say a tarjeta de débito, a debit card. And he's paying here at the register, la caja. Whereas the female, she chooses to pay with dinero en efectivo. She has some cash in her hand here, dinero en efectivo. And then you see this gentleman here in the orange who's sort of interrupting their conversation. He asks, perdón, ¿tiene este modelo de zapato en el número 28? Do you have this size, this style of shoe in size 28? And by the way, we see that 28 and we're like, oh my gosh, what a large foot he must have. Well, European sizes are slightly different than the sizes that you are accustomed to here in the States. So that's important to keep in mind. And then finally, over here to the right, you see this other exchange happening between these two ladies. And she says, oh, me queda grande. Oh, it fits me really largely. It's big on me, we might say. And the shirt that she is wearing, again, we have a rayas, striped, liso, solid, and de lunares, which is polka dots. Finally, over here to the right, hanging up, you see a cuadros, a plaid shirt there. And then down here at the bottom, we have estampado, which is just a patterned shirt. So, as you're keeping these things in mind, there are tons of other words that are listed in your vocab that are relevant. El algodón, cotton, la lana, wool, el lino, linen, so on and so forth. You can read through these. I strongly recommend taking advantage of the flashcard feature in MindTap, which kind of works like a Quizlet and allows you to go through and practice those flashcards as many times as you need to until you feel comfortable with them. So I strongly recommend taking advantage of that. As you keep looking, a few other just additional words that you're going to use for your sentences today. We have la oferta, which is literally an offer or a sale, la oferta. Por ciento, which is a percent, like 10%, a discount of 10%. You have la prenda, which refers to a garment. La talla, which again is a size. We saw that before up here with the guy in the orange shirt. And then la venta is a sale, kind of comes from the word vender. La venta, a sale. Okay? So as you're looking at these things, I want to give you an opportunity to practice with some of the vocabulary words that you're learning in this chapter. So you're going to see a sentence that has a blank, and you can use any vocab word from the chapter in order to fill in the blank. And I'm going to do one with you. So for example, number one, someone is speaking and he or she says, Mira, estas blusas están rebajadas. So look, these blouses are marked down. They're on sale. Tienen un blank de 20%. They have a blank of 20%. So if they're marked down, they have a discount of 20%. We would say tienen un descuento. Descuento should be your vocab word that you're plugging in there. Okay? I want you to take just a moment. I want you to pause your audio and give numbers 2 through 6 a try for me. Okay, now that you've had a second to pause, as we take a look at number 2, um, it begins with que cara, how expensive. Voy a necesitar mi blank para pagar la blusa. So, wow, how expensive. I'm going to need my blank in order to pay for the blouse. I'm going to need probably my credit card if it's super expensive. Mi tarjeta de crédito. Okay. Number 3 says that los blujines generalmente están hechos de blank. Blue jeans are generally made of generally denim, so la mezclilla. La mezclilla. Number 4, la falda me blank muy bien. Voy a comprarla. So the dress, or excuse me, the skirt fits me very well. I'm going to buy it. So it fits me. Me queda. Notice here with this verb quedar that it agrees with the noun that is doing the fitting. It functions very similar to the verb gustar that you learned before in an earlier Spanish class. You may recall if I like one thing or a singular noun, I say me gusta. Whereas if I like more than one thing or a plural noun, I say me gustan. Same thing here with the verb quedarse. This is a singular skirt, so she said, la falda me queda muy bien. However, if there were multiple skirts in this particular example, she would say that las faldas me quedan muy bien. So she would make it plural there. Okay, and then you can continue on with the rest of these. You see, no me gusten los estampados a rayas ni a cuadros. Prefiero la ropa blank. So I don't like the pattern clothes, I don't like the plaid clothes, and I don't like the striped clothes. I prefer clothing that is, and she's trying to say solid. So again, the word liso does mean solid, but in this case, you have to make it agree with ropa, which is feminine. So it should be la ropa lisa. En número 6, we see, mi sobrino es muy alto. Creo que le voy a comprar la talla blank. So my nephew is super tall. I think that I'm going to buy a blank for him, a size large, because he's tall, right? It needs to be a little longer. So la talla grande. Pero mi sobrina no es muy pequeña ni muy alta. Ella necesita una camiseta de talla blank. So my nephew, he was really tall. He needed a large, but my niece, she's not really small, and she's not really tall either. She needs somewhere in between. She needs a t-shirt that is a size mediana, a medium. And again, that agrees here with camiseta and talla. Okay, so this is just vocabulary, just giving you a chance to practice with those. Something else you might be asked to do this week, perhaps in MindTap, you may see an activity similar to this where you're given a conversation between a dependiente and a cliente, so between the salesperson and the client. And you need to complete their conversation by matching up. I believe it'll actually ask you to draw lines when you do this in MindTap. But for example, I'll do number 1 with you. The salesperson asks, ¿Desea algo más? Do you desire anything else? So as you look at the possible options here, the client says, well, uso el número 39. I wear a size 39. Oh, I don't think that's relevant for do you need anything else? Number 2, though, says, no, es todo, donde pago? So do you need anything else? Nope, that's all. Where do I pay? That seems like a realistic option here, but let's read the rest to make sure. Number 3, the client asks, well, ¿puedo probármelos? May I try them on? Okay, that maybe works as well. Number 4, me quedan bien. They fit me well. Me los llevo. I'll wear them. Maybe not the best answer there for that one. Number 5, sí, por favor. Busco unos zapatos negros formales. So yes, please, I'm looking for some black formal shoes. And number 6, muy amable. Adios. Very nice. Goodbye. I believe the best answer here for number 1, do you desire anything else, would be no, es todo. Nope, that's all. Where do I pay? Donde pago? So we would draw a line here between number 1 and number 2. Okay, just as we did before, I'd like for you to pause your audio and give the rest of these a try. When you feel as though you're ready, you can click play again and we'll go over the answers. Okay, now that you've got a second to try these, as we look at numbers 2 through 6, you see puede pagar en la caja y gracias por su compra. So the salesperson says you can pay at the register and thank you for shopping. Thanks for your purchase. That's sort of the end of a conversation here, so we can best match this up with number 6. Muy amable, adios. Very nice, thank you, very nice, goodbye. Number 3, tenemos unos zapatos muy elegantes y están rebajados. So we have some shoes that are very elegant and that are marked down, the salesperson says. The client might respond to that with, puedo probármelos. May I try them on? Puedo probármelos. Again, you know we're talking about zapatos, which are plural, so it gives you a hint in looking that los may be the correct direct object pronoun to match up there. Number 4, buenas tardes. Puedo ayudarlo. So good afternoon. How may I help you, or may I help you? Our client might respond and explain what they're looking for. So sí, por favor. Yes, please. Busco unos zapatos negros formales. Yes, please. I'm looking for some black formal shoes, please. Number 5, the salesperson might ask, ¿Cuál es su número? What's your size? What size do you wear? To which the client might respond, uso el número 39. And finally, in number 6, sí, claro, yes, of course. ¿Cómo le quedan? How do they fit you? We might respond with, me quedan bien, me los llevo. They fit me really well, I'm going to wear them. Me los llevo. Okay, so next, that sort of summarizes the first part of the chapter's vocabulary. We'll come back to some more vocab on art here in just a bit. Before we do that, let's hop over and take a look at your first grammatical exploration for this chapter. So you see here, exploraciones gramaticales regarding se constructions. And se, written as se in Spanish, will be used for several different things that we do in the course of this class. But first, we're just going to begin by talking about se constructions. So now, something that's important to note here, and this is very appropriate in the shopping chapter because these appear a lot in the real world on signs and such as you're out shopping. But it tells you here that a pronoun is used when the person or thing performing the action is either unknown or unimportant. Usually we do conjugate these se constructions in the third person form. So if you see the box up here, the third person has been highlighted in pink for you. The left side you see the third person singular, also known as the él, ella, usted form. And to the right you see the third person plural, also known as the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. So as we're conjugating, those are the only two options you're going to be using with these se constructions. You're never going to use yo or tú or nosotros or vosotros. It's always these bottom two boxes, the third person singular and plural. Now, based on the noun of the sentence, you may conjugate these according to the third person singular form if you're using a singular noun. If you're using a plural noun, you're going to conjugate it with the third person plural form, that bottom right box. Now, all that grammar talk may sound like Greek to you for just a moment. So let's look at some real examples. Here in bold, you see, en esa tienda no se acepten tarjetas de crédito. So in that store, credit cards are not accepted. Again, the person or thing performing the action isn't known or isn't important. Who is it that isn't accepting credit cards? We don't care. All we care about is that credit cards are not accepted. So in this case, the noun, credit cards, tarjetas de crédito, has to agree with the verb here in our se construction. So tarjetas de crédito, plural credit cards would be they. Therefore, we're going to use our bottom right box, the third person plural, and we conjugated this as aceptan instead of acepta. On the flip side of that, in the second sentence, you see that esta ropa se hace en Guatemala. So this clothing was made in Guatemala. Well, who made the clothing? We don't know. It's unknown or it's unimportant. So in this case, we want to make sure that we conjugate the verb in our se construction, in this case, hacer, to agree with the noun of our sentence, which here is ropa. So esta ropa is singular. Ropa, clothing in this case, is a singular noun. It does not have an S. So we're going to make it agree with our bottom left box. If you were to conjugate hacer here, hago, haces, hace, we're going to use the hace form here. So esta ropa se hace en Guatemala. Okay. Some real world examples. I told you see these a lot. Some of these pictures I took myself, some I stole from the internet. There's actually a community here not far from my house in Morristown, Tennessee, where there is an entire community that only speaks in Spanish. And you can actually walk through the neighborhoods and see all the signs and take pictures. It's really cool. So if you ever have a chance, I encourage you to check that out. But anyway, here are some examples that you might see some of these impersonal say or say constructions used um, in a real life context. So the most common one is se habla español. Spanish is spoken here. Who speaks Spanish here? We don't know, okay, but you see this a lot on signs. The first thing that actually comes to mind is Home Depot. I just recently did some remodeling of my home and spent a lot of time at Home Depot, and I noticed that on all of their little orange vests they wear at the Kingsport Home Depot store says "Se habla español," and then I would give them a hard time sometimes and talk to a few of them in Spanish, and they're like, "Oh, no, 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 not me. I'm not the one who speaks Spanish. It's this other person, right?" So, "Se habla español." Spanish is spoken here, right? But we don't know exactly who is the one doing the speaking. Another example here, se aceptan tarjetas de crédito y débito. We talked about that in a second ago. Credit cards and debit cards are accepted here. Se alquila casa. A house is for rent. Se alquila casa. Se vende pollo. Chicken is sold here. So you see some interesting expressions there with say, kind of informal. Another context, in English, we a lot of times say, oh, well, people think that, blah, 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 or they say that, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you've heard maybe your parents or your grandparents say, oh, yeah, they say if you blah, 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 then blah, blah, blah. In this case, we can use this same say construction here in Spanish in a similar context. So if you look at the example, se dice que no es necesario pagar mucho para tener ropa bonita. They say that it's not necessary to pay a lot in order to have pretty clothes. Well, who says that? We don't really know. It's unclear or unknown. That's why we're using a say construction. In this case, the pronoun say is followed by a conjugated verb that is always conjugated in the third person singular form. So if you're saying people think or they say, you're always going to use this third person singular form. That's why it's dice instead of dicen. So se dice, one says that, blah, 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 or they say that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here are some more examples for you, just going along with that same say plus a third person singular verb. You can see at the top here, en la clase se aprende sobre los tejidos de la gente indígena. So in the class, one learns about the sewing of indigenous people. So se aprende, one learns. Or se ve que ella sabe vestirse bien. One can see that she knows how to dress herself very well. So again, it's unclear or unknown who is doing these things. Okay, just some other examples for you. Occasionally, you may encounter these say constructions as they are used with the verbs deber, which is should or ought to do something, or sometimes you also see them with the verb poder, which means to be able to. In this case, it gets a little tricky because our say construction is sometimes also followed by an infinitive and then also a noun on top of that. So it gets real tricky as you're looking at your sentence as to where we're going to correctly conjugate our verb. So I want to give you an example here. By the way, we do conjugate our verb here in agreement with the noun of these sentences. When you have deber poder plus an infinitive plus a noun, your say construction is going to agree with the noun in this case rather than with the infinitive, and that's a little weird. So let me give you an example. You see here, se pueden ver los nuevos vestidos en la vitrina. So one can see the new dresses, right? Or one is able to see the new dresses. Well, a lot of people mistake these and make errors and they see ver and they just say, oh, se puede ver. There's an infinitive, it's going to be puede. Boom, I'm done. But if you keep reading the sentence, the new dresses are actually the subject of this sentence. So it should be se pueden ver los nuevos vestidos. Okay, now, a lot of cases you don't see a noun follow it after the infinitive, and in that case, we do conjugate it with the infinitive. We leave it in the singular form. So, for example, no se debe ir de compras ahora. So one should not go shopping right now. No se debe ir de compras ahora. So in this case, ir agrees with debe. All right, so I have a couple here that I want you to try using these say constructions, or we are just trying to figure out if the noun of the sentence is singular or plural, and then conjugated accordingly. So I'm going to do the first one with you. Number one says blank buscar prendas. We can see here that the noun prendas is plural. So in this case, when we conjugate buscar, it also needs to be in the plural form. We would conjugate it as se buscan, B-U-S-C-A-N, making it agree with prendas. Another example, I'll just do one more for you here. In number two, we see pagar con tarjeta de crédito o con dinero en efectivo, to pay with a credit card or with cash. We're trying to say that one can pay with a credit card or one can pay with cash. So in this case, as we look at these, in this case we have a singular noun, tarjeta de crédito, and another singular noun, con dinero en efectivo. In this case, we're going to conjugate pagar in the third person singular form, leaving us with se paga con tarjeta de crédito. Okay, as always, I'd like for you to take a moment, pause your audio, and please give numbers 3 through 7 a try. When you're ready, go ahead and click play, and we'll keep going. Okay, now that you've had a second to try these, so in number 3, and I did tell you in the directions here, watch out for those stem changers in number 3 and in number 5. In number 3, pedir la opinión del amigo. Ask for an opinion of a friend. So to say that one ask or one should ask, we're going to take pedir and we're going to conjugate it to go with the noun opinión, opinion, which is singular. So we should say se pide. Se pide la opinión del amigo in that third person singular form. Number 4 says esperar en la cola para pegar. So one must wait in line in order to pay. Well, la cola, line in this case, is singular again. So we're going to use our third person singular form. We should say se espera en la cola. Okay, and as you see in the rest of these, it's the same case. Number 5, the verb was probar, which had a stem change from O to UE. Probar had to agree with the noun ropa, clothing. So we ended up with se prueba. And number 6, se va a la tienda con un amigo. In this case, ir is conjugated in the third person singular form as well. Se va. And the last one, llevan las compras a casa, to carry your purchases home. To say that one must carry, we have multiple purchases here, las compras, which are plural. So we need to conjugate llevar in the third person plural form. We should end up with se llevan las compras a casa. Okay, in more of a real life context here, and I think you guys get the hang of these, so I'm not going to spend much more time on this. However, as you're looking here with the opiniones, you ask some very common questions about one's shopping experience. Like in number 1, ¿dónde se encuentra la mejor ropa? Where does one find the best clothes? Or number 2, ¿dónde se gasta mucho dinero en ropa? ¿Y dónde se gasta poco? Where does one spend a lot of money on clothes? And where does one spend very little? And ¿dónde se venden zapatos baratos? Where are cheap shoes sold? So in each of these situations, they're very personal answers, but I want to give you a chance to respond to these very personal questions with your own shopping habits, and I want you to use those say constructions as you do. So for example, in number 1, ¿dónde se encuentra la mejor ropa? All of you are going to start off this sentence the same way, that one finds the best clothing. Se encuentra la mejor ropa, and then you finish your sentence with whatever store you find the best clothes in. Se encuentra la mejor ropa en Belk. Se encuentra la mejor ropa in Old Navy. Okay, you fill it in with whatever store you like the best. Keeping that in mind, I'd like for you to pause your audio again and try numbers 2 and 3 for me. Okay, now that you've had a second to try. In number 2, it asks you, where do you spend the most on clothes and where do you spend the least? Personally, I said, se gasta mucho dinero in Macy's y Dillard's. So one spends a lot of money at Macy's and at Dillard's. Where does one spend little money? Well, se gasta poco dinero in TJ Maxx. You spend very little there. Se gasta poco dinero in TJ Maxx. Number 3, where do they sell cheap shoes? Notice we have multiple shoes here, so I answered and I said, se venden zapatos baratos in Kohl's. Cheap shoes are sold at Kohl's. Okay, hopefully this gives you an idea of how these say constructions function in Spanish. Okay, our next grammatical exploration that you see in chapter 11 pertains to comparisons and superlatives. Okay, so um, as we take a look at these in Spanish, we're going to start with comparisons, and we'll look at superlatives in a moment. As we're starting with our comparisons, you see some that are unequal comparisons, meaning you're saying more or less. He's taller than I am. She's prettier than I am, etc. You also have equal comparisons. He is as tall as I am. She is as pretty as I am, so on and so forth. Um, we're going to begin looking at some examples with unequal comparisons. And I've given you a little chart here just so you can see the very common constructions with which these are often formed. So you may recall the Taco Bell commercial or their slogan that we should live más. Well, más in Spanish means more, and that it would be an example of an unequal comparison. So you can say más and have an adjective in between and then a K, more blank than. As you see here, the adjective is tímido, shy, más tímido que, more shy than. You also can use más or menos with an adverb, usually translated as ly in English. So más pronto que, more quick than, or more quickly than, we might say. And then you also can use más blank que along with a noun in between. So más hambre que, more hunger than. Typically, I would say the most common use here is with the adjective más alto que, más cómico que, etc. So you have más, more, and menos, less for all of these. Please be very careful as you're taking a look at the irregular comparisons. There are quite a few of these in Spanish. For example, just like in English, we don't say that Pals is more good than Burger King. We say Pals is better than Burger King, in which case, instead of saying más bueno que, we just say mejor que. Saying that something is worse than something else, we don't say más malo que, we say peor que, worse than. So better and worse, mejor and peor. Also, it's the same for older and younger. And I have a little trick to help you remember these. You see the word mayor here, which means older. Well, if you look at the way mayor is spelled in English, that looks a whole lot like mayor. And I don't know about you, but in my experience, the mayor of a town is always some old guy. So we say mayor for older. Same thing with the word for younger, menor. Menor kind of looks like the word minor in English. A minor is someone who's under 18, right? They're younger than you. So, one more time, mejor, better, peor, worse, mayor, older, and menor, younger. These are your expressions for unequal comparisons. As we take a look at more equal comparisons, these are, as we said before, things that agree, that are the same. So she is as pretty as I am. He is as nice as I am. We are as tall as so and so. Generally, here, again, you can use this expression, which is tan, followed by a blank and como. When you have tan, blank, and como, you're going to have an adjective in between, or you're going to have an adverb. Those are your only options when you have tan by itself. So notice here you have tan, nublado, como, as cloudy as. Right after that, you have tan, frecuentemente, como, as frequently as. This was just plain tan in this context. However, when you use these equal comparisons and you want to have a noun in between, when you're wanting to say as much money as many people as many days as, so on and so forth, we have to take tan and we make it agree with the noun that it modifies. So in this case, you add a to to tan. And I always tell my students that this to sort of translates as much in a way. Because you saw tan nublado como, as cloudy as, or tan frecuentemente como, as frequently as. But down here, we're saying as much money as many people as, so on and so forth. So this to in some ways can be thought about as much or many. Either way, you have to make your noun and your sentence agree with the tan part. So notice dinero here is masculine and it's singular. So tanto, in this case, agrees with dinero. Gente, people in this case, is actually a feminine noun. It's la gente, as you may remember from before. So as many people, we would say tanta gente como, as many people as. Días is a masculine plural noun, so as many days as, tantos días como. And parties is a feminine plural noun, so tantas fiestas como, as many parties as. Okay, just to give you some more examples here in real life, that you can always refer back to this slide. It'll be very helpful to you as you're doing your mind tap activities and such, but I just wanted to give you a very thorough explanation of that. Let's look at some real world examples. Starting again with these unequal comparisons, the more or less. I've given you a sentence here in English that Dawson is taller than Grayson. Dawson es más alto que Grayson. In this case, Dawson is a male, Grayson is a female. Alto here agrees with Dawson. Dawson is more tall than Grayson. There's no such thing as in Spanish, so we can't say taller or shorter or skinnier. We have to say more tall than, more short than, more skinny than. So here, Dawson is more tall than Grayson. He's más alto que. On the flip side of that, if I wanted to say that Kelly, a female, is taller than Dawson, I would change it up a little bit. And I would say that Kelly es más alta que Dawson. So again, it doesn't matter that Dawson is a male. Kelly can be taller than anyone, but the word alta in this case, the adjective agrees with the beginning of your sentence, the subject at the beginning. So when Dawson was taller, he was más alto. But now when Kelly is taller, she's más alta. Be very careful with that. That's a common mistake people make. Okay, some other examples here. You can have other things in between as well. To say that Nate is less athletic than LeBron James, I would say that Nate es menos, less, atlético, again agreeing with Nate in the masculine form, que LeBron James. So Nate es menos atlético que LeBron James. So on and so forth. You can see these are always agreeing. Nate agreed with atlético, Ryan Gosling agreed with atractivo, so on and so forth. Now I'm going to show you a few pictures of various people, and I want you to create a sentence based on what makes the most sense. So for example here, you see The Rock and Zac Efron. The Rock is on the left here, Zac Efron is on the left, and the adjective it gives you is tall. Well, I don't know, as you look at these two people, I definitely think The Rock is quite a bit taller than Mr. Efron. So our sentence here to say that The Rock is taller than or more tall than should be that The Rock es más alto que Zac Efron. Okay, in this case, alto agreed with The Rock. Here's another one for you to try. Action Bronson es blank Wiz Khalifa. Okay, and over here on the left, we see Action Bronson. We see that he's actually 36, tiene 36 años. Y Wiz Khalifa tiene 32 años. So tell me who is older here in the sentence. Okay, you're trying to say that Action Bronson is older. So you should say, if you recall, older is one of our irregular comparatives here. Remember, the mayor is always some old dude. So Action Bronson es mayor que Wiz Khalifa. A couple more examples for you. Will Ferrell es blank Senor Bolt. So as you look here at these two people, Will Ferrell's on the left, Usain Bolt is there on the right, and I don't know about you, but I would dare bet that Usain Bolt is quite a bit faster than Mr. Ferrell. So we're going to write a sentence that says Will Ferrell is more fast than Usain Bolt. So take a moment and give this one a try. Okay, hopefully you're saying here that Will Ferrell is, he's less, menos rápido que Usain Bolt. Okay, again, rápido here agreed with the subject at the beginning of our sentence, which was Will Ferrell. Here we're using the adjective famoso, famous, and we're talking about Chloe Moretz or Moretz and Kylie Jenner. I've never heard of this person here on the left, so I'm going to go on a limb and say that Kylie Jenner is a little bit more famous. So here in our sentence, Chloe Moretz is blankety blankety blank Kylie Jenner. We're going to say she's less famous than. We should say menos. And a lot of people start to type and they say famoso, okay? Menos famoso, okay? Well, famoso would be right if Chloe Moretz were a male. But Chloe Moretz is a female. So we should say menos famosa, okay, Kylie Jenner. Because famosa agrees with the subject at the beginning of my sentence. Okay, here in our next slide, we see two famous actors from the common Netflix show Riverdale that airs on the CW that many of you may be familiar with. Using again the same adjective famoso, I want you to tell me in this case that Jughead Jones is as famous as Archie Andrews. This is an equal comparison rather than an unequal one. So in this case, Jughead is as famous as Archie. Take a moment, pause your audio, and give this one a try for me. Okay, now that you've had a second to try, we're saying as famous as, so we know we're going to have tan, something in the middle, and then como. To say as famous as, we're going to use tan, famoso, como, famoso in this case, agreeing again with Jughead Jones at the beginning of our sentence. Tan, famoso, como, as famous as. Here's another comparison of equality for you here. You see él, he, over here to the left, showing he's 5'3", and ella, over here to the right, also appearing to be 5'3". So I've asked you to tell me who is taller. Obviously, we're going to say that he is as tall as she. So take a moment, pause your audio, give this one a try. Okay. So again, he is as tall as, we should say tan alto como ella. Now notice, if this sentence were reversed and ella were at the beginning and él were at the end, we would say that ella es tan alta como él, because ella would be at the beginning of our sentence. Don't forget that. Okay, you got to make sure it agrees correctly. Let's take a look at our superlatives next. You may recall back to your high school days when you learned about superlatives and you had things like happiest or nicest, or I believe some of them were like best all around, most athletic, most likely to, blah, blah, blah. You're doing the same thing here with your superlatives in Spanish. Rather than saying, I'm nice and he's nicer, but she is the nicest. And this one's big and that one's bigger, but that one over there is the largest or the biggest. Okay, as we form our superlatives in Spanish, you're going to use a noun followed by a comparison of más o menos, more or less, an adjective, a day, and another noun. So I've given you a sentence here. Tengo la familia. Familia is my noun in this case. I used más as my comparative, simpática as my adjective, de, and then Caracas as my noun. So tengo la familia más simpática de Caracas. I have the nicest family in all of Caracas. So literally, the family most nice. Another example here. And again, those same irregulars you saw with your comparisons. Mejor, best. Mayor, oldest. Peor, worst. Menor, youngest. Those are all still applicable here with your superlatives as well. So for example, when I'm looking at this restaurant, El Criollito, and I'm saying it's the best restaurant in all of Caracas, I'm not going to say that es el más bueno restaurante. We don't say that. We don't say it's the goodest or the más good, right? We say it's the best. Same thing in English. So in this case, El Criollito es el mejor restaurante de Caracas. Okay. So again, you have some more examples of just sort of the same sort of thing. As we look at this expression, you can sometimes see these used with a definite article in the beginning. El, la, los or las, followed by a noun, a más o menos, an adjective, and a de. So here I've given you that Grayson vive en la casa más grande de toda la calle. So Grayson in this case lives in the house most big of the street, or we would say the biggest house or the largest house. Um, a similar question, if I wanted to say that this class is the nicest class at the university, I would say that esta clase, this class, is the class, la clase. There's my there's my definite article, la, because clase is feminine. My noun in this case was clase. I'm using the nicest, más simpática, with más being my comparative, and simpática being my adjective, and a de. So esta clase es la más simpática de la universidad. So taking note of this formula will help you as you're initially learning here to get these right. But I will say, as your Spanish begins to advance, they just start to sound right. You just start to know when it's right or wrong, and you sort of get the hang of it. But as you're getting started, having these formulas in front of you will probably be helpful. Okay, so like always, let's practice a little bit. Here in this activity titled ¿Qué piensas? What do you think? It's going to give you some statements, and you have to say if you're in agreement or not, and then explain why using a comparison. So for example, with number 1, it says pagar en efectivo es mejor que pagar con una tarjeta de crédito. So paying in cash is better than paying with a credit card. You have to decide if you agree or disagree. So I wrote a sentence here. Personally, I disagree with that. I haven't used cash in forever. I like cards. So I wrote, no estoy de acuerdo. I'm not in agreement. Pagar con tarjeta de crédito es mejor que, it's better than, pagar en efectivo. Now, let's say you were on the flip side of that argument and you wanted to change your sentence. Instead of saying you don't agree, you would say that you do agree. Estoy de acuerdo. I agree. Pagar en efectivo es mejor que pagar con tarjeta de crédito. You would just flip it around a little bit. Okay, there's 2 more sentences here that do the same sort of thing. Number 2 tells you that la ropa rebajada no es tan buena como la ropa a precio normal. So markdown clothes or discounted clothes are not as good as normal priced clothing. So you have to decide if you agree, estás de acuerdo, or if you don't agree, no estás de acuerdo, and write a sentence using comparative. You're going to be doing the same thing in number 3. Controversial question here. Las mujeres gastan tanto dinero en la ropa como los hombres. Women spend as much money on clothing as men. So, again, these are all opinionated questions. There's not a right or a wrong answer as long as you've written it grammatically correctly. Take a moment, pause your audio, give these a try for me. All right, now that you've got a second to try. And number 2, la ropa rebajada no es tan buena como la ropa a precio normal. Discounted clothes are not as good as normal price clothes. I disagree with that. I said, no estoy de acuerdo. La ropa rebajada es tan buena como, it's as good as, tan buena como. La ropa a precio normal, it's just as good as, tan buena como. Hey, you might even be on the flip side of that. You might say, you know what? Markdown clothes are even better than normal price clothes. And you might say that la ropa rebajada es mejor que la ropa a precio normal. It's better than mejor que. Okay? So in our second sentence here, I used a comparison. Well, in both of these I did, but in the second sentence I used an unequal comparison. And in the top sentence I used an equal comparison, as good as. Okay? Again, there's not a right or a wrong answer as long as your sentence agrees and is grammatically correct. Number 3, the controversial question. Women spend as much money on clothes as men. Let's see here. If you agree with that, or if you disagree with that and you want to say that women spend more money on clothes than men, you might say las mujeres gastan más dinero en ropa que los hombres. If you want to flip that around and say that men spend more money on clothing than women, you might say los hombres gastan más dinero en la ropa que las mujeres. And if you want to say equally they spend as much money, you might say that las mujeres no gastan tanto dinero en la ropa como los hombres. Or you can take the no out of there. Las mujeres gastan tanto dinero en la ropa como los hombres. So you have some multiple options here. Again, the big thing is just getting you used to writing these sentences that should agree. An activity you're going to see in MindTap this week, I stole these questions from there. It's going to have them all mixed together for you in the same activity. Your equal and your unequal comparisons are going to be all together in the same activity, just like they're all together in real life, right? So we're going to start looking here at number 1, where it gives you that las botas cuestan $100. The boots cost $100. And los zapatos cuestan $90. So the boots are $100, the shoes are $90, and you're given a sentence that las botas cuestan blankety blank los zapatos. The boots cost blank the shoes. Well, obviously the boots cost more than. So we're going to say that las botas cuestan más que los zapatos. More than. In number 2, you see here that Elsa compró 4 camisas y su hermano Alex compró 2. So Elsa bought 4 t-shirts, or 4 shirts, and her brother Alex only bought 2. So Alexa bought more shirts than her brother. So more shirts than. Elsa compró más camisas que su hermano. Okay. Numbers 3 and 4 are equal comparisons. I'd like for you to pause your audio and please give numbers 3 and 4 a try for me. Okay, now that you've had a second to try these, as we take a look, it says that Irma tiene blank tarjetas de crédito blank Alma. We're trying to say here that Irma has as many credit cards as Alma. So as many credit cards as, in this case, tarjetas de crédito, credit cards, are feminine and plural, tarjetas, right? So instead of saying tanto tarjetas de crédito, we have to change tanto and make it agree with tarjetas. So it becomes tantas. Notice this ends in AS, so that also has to end in AS. Irma tiene tantas tarjetas de crédito como Alma. And number 4, Irma va de compras blankety blank Alma. We're saying that Irma goes shopping just as much as Alma. They go shopping equally as often. So Irma va de compras tanto como Alma. In this case, we don't have to do anything to tanto como. There's no noun coming right after it. So Irma va de compras tanto como Alma. Okay. Hopefully you're feeling okay so far. You're about halfway through the chapter, which is good. Next, our second vocabulary focus. Earlier we've been talking a lot about clothing and styles and that kind of thing. The second part of this chapter deals with arte, lots of art. And it tells you here, a Gabriela le encanta el arte y va a todas las exhibiciones que ofrece el Museo de Arte de la Ciudad. So Gabriela loves art, and she goes to all the art exhibitions that the museum in her city offers. As you're looking here in the picture, you see a lot of different photos. You see things hanging on the wall. What my eyes are drawn to is over here to the left, el mural, the mural, el mural. I love murals. You can see here there's an artist, el artista. If you had a female artist, she would be a la artista. And you can see he's working here on an escultura, a sculpture. As you look at the photos hanging on the wall here, or technically they're paintings, you'll get the pinturas, which are labeled here at the top. Sorry, not photos, but paintings, pinturas. You see different styles. There's el paisaje, there's a landscape photo. La naturaleza muerta, a still life, we might say. Literally, that translates to dead nature, la naturaleza muerta. So people are drawing like wine bottles and cheese here. That's a still life. Over here to the left, you see arte abstracto, abstract art. Something kind of weird, cool. I love abstract art. And then over here, you see el retrato, a portrait, and el autorretrato. Auto means self, just like your self-esteem, autoestima. So a retrato is a portrait, and an autorretrato is a self-portrait. Okay, so these are some vocab words you're going to encounter in this chapter. There are lots of other more technical terms like la tinta, ink, el pincel, a paintbrush, la paleta, a palette, el oleo, an oil painting, so on and so forth. There's tons of very specific vocab words that relate to art here. So I definitely want to make sure you spend some time playing around with those flashcards and MindTap. Make sure you study those. It will make your life easier. Okay? Now, as always, I want to give you an opportunity here to practice a little bit with the vocabulary that you're learning here in this chapter. So as we get started, it's going to ask you, ¿Cuál es la palabra? What is the correct word? ¿Cuál es la palabra? So, as you're looking at these, you see in number 1, in blank se exhiben muchas obras de arte. And you have to go back and decide, well, they exhibit a lot of works of arts. And by the way, notice we have the se construction again there, agreeing with obras de arte, connecting to what you learned earlier there. Okay, sorry. So in blank, a lot of works of art are exhibited. So where might you see a lot of works of art? Well, you might go to a museum, you might go to a gallery. Either one of those would work. In el museo or in la galería, either one of those would be great. Number 2 says, and I would like for you to please pause your audio and give these a try. All right, now that you've given these a try, number 2 says, no puedo escribir porque no hay blank en mi bolígrafo. Man, I'm not able to write anything. I can't write because there is no blank in my pen. Well, there's no, what would you need in your pen? Some ink, maybe? Tinta? Tinta is ink in Spanish. Number 3, cuando un artista pinta un cuadro de él mismo, el cuadro se llama blank. So when an artist paints a photo of themselves, that painting is called a self-portrait, un autorretrato. Number 4, una pintura hecha sobre una pared tiene el nombre de blank. So a painting that is made on a wall has the name of blank. Well, a painting on a wall is generally referred to as a mural, el mural, mural en español. Número 5. Muchas ciudades tienen en sus calles blank de personas famosas. So a lot of cities have blank of famous people in their streets. Well, a lot of cities have sculptures of famous people. It's very common to see statues or sculptures. Esculturas. And then in number 6, un blank es una persona que posa para un artista. So a blank is a person who poses for an artist. That's a model. Un modelo or una modela. All right. So guys, now we're going to take a look at the grammar coming in the second part of your chapter. Here with Exploraciones Gramaticales 3, we are studying the verb estar along with the past participle. So as we take a look at these are some of my favorite things in Spanish, by the way. As you are going through with estar, you already know how to conjugate estar back from Spanish 1. In the present tense, we have estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. But you're probably not familiar with the past participle part. We use past participles a lot in English. I have eaten. We have drunk, blah, blah, blah. It has been said. All of these are participles. Eaten, open, broken, written. All of those things are participles. So in Spanish, in order to form a participle, if your verb ends in AR, like hablar, you're going to chop off the AR and replace it with ADO, pronounced as ado. Okay, so hablar becomes hablado. Estoy hablado, I've spoken, or ha estado hablado, it's been spoken. Beber, if you have a verb that ends in ER or IR, you're going to remove that ER or IR, and you're going to replace it with IDO, pronounced as ido. So again, you're going to chop off your AR and add ado, or chop off your ER, IR and add ido. So you get hablado, bebido, vivido. There are some irregular past participles, surprise, right? They're not all normal. So in some cases, for example, with abrir, you can't take off the IR in abrir and add ido as you did with some of the others. There's no such thing as abrido. Instead, this changes and becomes irregular. It is abierto. There's some others here that you see are irregular. So abrir, to open, becomes abierto. Cubrir, to cover, becomes cubierto, covered. Decir, said, becomes dicho. Despertar, despierto, awake. Devolver, devuelto, returned. Escribir, escrito, written. Hacer, hecho, made. Morir, muerto, dead. Ooh, scary. Romper, roto, broken. Poner, puesto, put or placed. Ver, visto, seen. Envolver, vuelto, also returned. So these are your irregular. Students sometimes have trouble with these, so I want to give you a little acronym to make these easier to remember. Sometimes my students like to organize these. You can just take all these same ones and reorder them into an acronym, and you get Mr. V. Peach DVD. Here with Mr. V. Peach DVD, they're all organized. The same exact participles have just been organized in a different order so that you can remember them a little bit more easily. Okay? Now, as we take a look at these in more detail and how they work, you've seen some of these before. You may not realize it, but a lot of times these are used as adjectives to refer to someone's condition. So you learned back before, estoy cansado, man, I'm tired, or estoy aburrido, I'm bored, okay? So those are participles as well, and you already knew those. Now, just like with other adjectives, these participles have to agree in gender and number with the nouns that they describe. So if you look here in the sentence, los estudiantes están interesados en el español. The students are interested in Spanish. In this case, interesados, interested, agrees with estudiantes or students. Same thing down here. La galería no está abierta los lunes. The gallery is not open on Mondays. In this case, open must agree with galería, which is feminine and singular. So we say that la galería no está abierta. Okay, that's how these will function. Just some more examples for you. Occasionally, you will see, generally these are used with adjectives, okay? But sometimes you can see them also used with a noun and sometimes placed after the noun. So here you see, me gustan más sus obras pintadas. I like his or her painted works better. Painted, in this case, agrees with obras. So our verb, as we started out, was pintar. We chopped off the AR and added aro, but then we had to make it agree with obras, which was feminine and plural, so we got pintadas. Me gustan más sus obras pintadas. Remember, agreement is important. It must agree in gender and number. And then another example for you, Salvador Dalí es un pintor conocido. So Salvador Dalí is a painter who is well known. Conocer was our verb here, conocer. We chopped off our ER and we added iro. And in this case, pintor was already masculine, already singular, so we didn't have to do anything to change it. Dalí es un pintor conocido. Okay? Of course, I do want to give you a chance to practice with these. This is something you'll be asked to do in MindTap this week. It looks kind of like this. It's going to give you a sentence detailing something. So for example, in the model, you see that la planta del profesor murió. The plant of the professor died. Must be talking about my plants. I can't keep any of them alive. So la planta del profesor murió. Well, instead of saying the plant of the professor died, let's rewrite this using a past participle to say that the plant is dead. La planta del profesor está muerta. You may remember that morir is irregular. It becomes muerto as in participle form from Mr. V. Peach DVD. And muerto must then agree with the plant, which is feminine and singular. So you get la planta and muerta. Okay. Another example for you in number 1, cuando el profesor entró en la clase, encendió las luces y cerró la puerta. So when the professor came into the class, when he entered into the class, he turned on the lights and he closed the door. So we want to rewrite this sentence to say that the lights are on and the door is closed. If we do that, we can see las luces are lights. There are multiple lights here, so we want to use the plural form of estar. Las luces están My verb was encender, to light or to turn on. We're going to chop off our er. What you know from a past participle, you're going to add back ido. So you would get las luces están encendido. That's not totally right just yet. We have to make it agree with luces, which are feminine and plural. So we should get that las luces están encendidas. They're turned on. And the door is closed. La puerta está cerrada. You can see here from my verb, cerrar, I chopped off my AR, added ado, and I had to make it agree with puerta. So la puerta está cerrada. Okay, I'd like for you to please take a moment, pause your audio. I have just a few others here to give you for you to give a try. All right, now that you've had a second to try these, let's take a look. In number 2, él colgó su suéter. He hung up his sweater. We want to say the sweater has been hung. So el suéter está colgando. It is hung in the closet, en el armario, we might say. Our verb here was colgar. We chopped off our AR and added ado. No changes were necessary because suéter was already masculine and already singular. In number 3, we see that Luisa se sentó al lado de Julián. We want to rewrite this sentence. Instead of Luisa sat next to Juan, we want to say that Luisa is seated next to Julián. So our verb here is sentar, to sit. We want to take off our AR and sentar. And to form that participle, we need to add ado. So Luisa, we can't say Luisa está sentado al lado de Juan because Luisa is a female. So we would change that O to an A and arrive to a final answer that Luisa está sentada al lado de Julián. Number 4 tells us that ella tiene mucho interés en Julián. So she has a lot of interest in Julián. She's very interested in him. We're going to take our verb to interest, interesar, chop off our AR, and add ado. Again, because Luisa is a female, we can't say that Luisa está interesado en Julián. We must say that Luisa está interesada with an A there because we're referring to a female. And then finally, at the end, we have here that Inés, la chica al lado de Julián, se aburre en la clase. So Inés, the girl who's seated next to Julián, gets bored in class. So we're going to take our verb here, aburrir, A-B-U-R-R-I-R, chop off our IR, add back ido, but we can't say that Inés está aburrido because Inés is a female. So we should say Inés está aburrida. Okay, hopefully you're feeling a little better about estar with the past participle. We now arrive at our final grammatical topic here for chapter 11, where we're discussing, again, a use of se, but in this case we're using se to refer to accidental occurrences. We typically form these expressions by starting with a se, adding an indirect object pronoun. If you've forgotten what those are, I've listed them for you here above. Me, te, le, nos, os, or les. Indirect object pronouns are typically translated as to or for in the person. So to or for me, me. To or for you, te. To or for him or her, or you formal, le. So on and so forth. So in these accidental se constructions, you have a se, an indirect object pronoun, and a verb. These can sometimes be tricky for people, okay? Because the indirect object pronoun, the me, te, se, nos, os, or les, refers to the person to whom the accident is happening. So in this case, se me rompió el plato. I broke the plate. Who broke the plate? From looking at this sentence, you should be able to see the me and know immediately that I'm the one who broke the plate. So me is the person to whom the accident happens. The verb in this case agrees with the noun that was affected by the accident. So se me rompió el plato. The plate in this case is what was broken. There's only one plate here. It's singular, plato. So the plate, it broke. We're going to use our bottom left box to conjugate plato since it is singular. And we end up with rompió. Se me rompió el plato. Literally To or for me, the plate has been broken. Se me rompió el plato. Okay, another example here, you see a Diego se le perdieron las llaves. Notice that Diego would be he, so we use the indirect object pronoun of le to refer to Diego. A Diego se le. And then my verb here was perder. Well, what is it that Diego lost? It was his keys, las llaves. There are multiple keys there, so you're going to conjugate llaves or they to the plural form, perdieron. So, a Diego se le perdieron las llaves. To or for Diego, his keys were lost. Okay, so again, your indirect object pronoun, me, te, le, nos, os, or les, agrees with the person to whom the accident is happening, the subject of the sentence. Whereas the verb, in this case, agrees with the noun of the sentence, what it is that is happening in the accident, what's getting broken, in this case, the llaves. Okay, so I want to give you some common uses here. As you see, the verb acabar means to finish, and you see the sentence, se me acabó la gasolina. I ran out of gas. Again, the indirect object pronoun of me is telling me who ran out of gas, and acabar is conjugated to gasolina, which is feminine and singular. Se me acabó la gasolina. So we conjugated it there in the preterite. I ran out of gas. Another example, I'm going to hop around a little bit for you here. Another very common example is with olvidar, to forget. In this sentence, you see that a ella se le olvidó el lápiz. She forgot her pencil. Okay, the pencil is what was forgotten. That's the noun of our sentence, and our verb is going to be conjugated according to that. So el lápiz, in this case, is third person singular. So we're going to use the third person singular preterite ending to make it agree. We chopped off our AR and olvidar, and we ended up with olvidó. So a ella se le olvidó el lápiz. She has forgotten her pencil. The le, in this case, refers to her, to or for her. Another very common example is the verb caer, which means to fall. Caer in some contexts can also mean to drop, and this would be one of those. So here you see, se les cayeron los libros. The les tells us that we're referring to they or you all, and cayeron, in this case, is conjugated according with libros, or multiple books. So literally, to or for them, the books fell, or they dropped their books. Se les cayeron los libros. Okay, you can take a look at the rest of those. I want to give you a chance to practice some of these. This is actually an activity from your text. And you can see we're talking about el pintor olvidadizo, the very forgetful painter. And he's forgotten everything. In number one, it says al pintor se le olvidó. Notice all of these have se le because the le is referring back to the pintor. He, our indirect object pronoun, refers with the person. And olvidó, he forgot, but we know he forgot something that's singular because this has been conjugated in the third person singular form. So all these that have s's, luces, pinceles, pinturas, can't be any of those. It either has to be C, el número de teléfono del modelo, the model's phone number, la paleta, the palette, or el oleo en casa. So he could have forgotten any of those things. He could have forgotten the model's phone number, his palette, or his oil at home. I'm going to start you out by telling you that he forgot el número de teléfono del modelo. I'd like for you guys to take a moment, pause your audio, and please give numbers 2 through 6 a try. All right, now that you've got a second to try these, let's take a look. Number 2, al pintor se le apagaron blank. The pintor turned off blank. Well, of all these options, the best thing to turn off would probably be the lights. Al pintor se le apagaron las luces. He turned off the lights, las luces. We know that it has to be used with a plural noun because apagaron has been conjugated in the third person plural form. In number 3, we see al pintor se le acabaron. The painter ran out of blank. Se le acabaron blank. In this case, the best option is pinturas. And we know this has to be a plural thing to agree with in this case because apagaron has been conjugated in the third person plural form, so it should be pinturas. Number 4, al pintor se le rompieron. The painter broke his paintbrushes, los pinceles. Again, this is plural, that has to be plural. Number 5, al pintor se le perdió. He lost his blank. Al pintor se le perdió. It agrees with the singular noun paleta. He lost his palette. And then finally, al pintor se le quedó blank. He left the oil at his house. Se le quedó el oleo en casa. This was kind of hard just knowing which ones they match up with. I mostly just want you to make sure you understand this indirect object pronoun le agrees with the person to whom the accident is happening, and the verb agrees with the noun, whatever is getting forgotten or whatever they're running out of or whatever is broken. Okay, so as we look at a couple more here, in this activity, you are given un mal día, a bad day of someone, and it tells you that we're using the same expression as se, an indirect object pronoun, and a verb to go through and respond to this particular situation. It tells you that ayer tuve una exposición de mi arte en una galería y todo me salió mal. So yesterday I had an exposition of my art at a gallery and everything went so wrong. Primero, first, blank las obras de cerámica que tenía que llevar a la galería. So first, I lost my ceramic works that I had to take to the gallery. So if my verb here is perder, to lose, I need to go through and conjugate perder by making it agree with whatever is being lost. We know that I'm the one losing. This is written in the first person. So I have my se. My indirect object pronoun is me because I'm the one losing. The item that is being lost in this case, or items, are the ceramic works of art. In this case, we would use the plural form of perder with the verb always in the preterite. So you have se me perdieron las llaves. Okay, I want you to take a moment, pause your audio, and please give this final activity a try with numbers 2, 3, and 4. All right, now that you got a second to try these, let's take a look. Number 2 says, I forgot que las puse en un lugar seguro. Por fin las encontré y salí para la galería. So I forgot that I put them, the them referring back to the ceramic works, forgot that I put them in a secure place. You ever do that? You put something away so it'll be safe, then you forget where you put it. I've done that a time or two. So finally I found them and then I went to the gallery, she says. In this case, when we're looking at olvidar, she's still referring to the las in this case of what she forgot, which is plural. So in this case, as we go through to conjugate, we would say, se me olvidó. I know that can be a little confusing because we didn't rewrite the sentence to say, se me olvidó las obras de cerámica. We said, se me olvidó que. I forgot that. So regardless of what comes after this, there's not really a noun in the sentence to which olvidar could be conjugated. So se me olvidó is the best option here. Number 3, a medio camino, on the way, blank la gasolina. She ran out of gas. Our verb here was acabar. As we conjugate acabar to make it agree with gasolina, we know that gasolina is feminine. So as we conjugate acabar in the third person singular form in the preterite, we get acabó. Again, I'm the one running out of gas. Se me acabó, because she's writing this in the first person to say that I ran out of gas, I forgot my works, I forgot, so on and so forth. And then number 4, the last one. Al llegar, descubrí que la billetera quedara en casa. So my verb here was quedar, to remain. Upon arriving, I discovered that my wallet was still at home. I'd left it at home. The verb is quedar, as I said. It's agreeing in this case with billetera. The wallet is what's being left at home. So we're conjugating it again in the third person singular form, since billetera is singular. In the preterite, we chop off our AR in quedar and add an O with an accent. My indirect object pronoun in this case is still me, because again, she wrote all of these in the first person. So se me quedó en casa. I forgot him at home. All right, guys, you've come full circle. So hopefully after watching this video, you feel more comfortable about discussing clothing preferences, discussing art, creating sentences using your comparisons and superlatives, um, describing the state of objects and people using the verb estar with a present participle, giving instructions, and talking about unplanned occurrences using se. So guys, as always, if you have any questions about anything in this video or anything for our course for that matter, feel free at any point to drop me an email. I'm always happy to help you in any way, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.